it's 6:30. I'm going to bring the meeting to order. I'm going to read this disclaimer first before we get going. This meeting is being recorded. The meeting of the Board of Trustees for the Village of Enosburg Falls is being conducted electronically in order to ensure the safety of all attendees and to maintain compliance with Governor Scott's Executive Order 1-20 and H 681, signed into law on March 30th, 2020. Per H 681, Section 6, there's a temporary suspension of designated physical meeting location requirements of Vermont's open meeting law, VSA Section 312A1. In order to ensure that all attendees can hear clearly, your audio has been muted. When you wish to speak, please raise your hand by submitting a chat request, or if you're called in, by pressing 9. Once acknowledged by the chair, please clearly state your name and then proceed with your question or comment. Please remember that when unmuted, all participants can hear and any sounds in your environment. So please help ensure there's minimal excessive environmental noise. By default, your video is disabled. If you wish to be visible to other attendees, you may turn on your video by clicking the video icon. Again, this meeting is being recorded. Okay, so I'm going to run through, and when I call your name, just state your full name. Jason.
Jason LaRose.
Leonard.
Leonard here.
Cindy.
She has
Is
mute
Cindy
on.
here? You may need to unmute yourself.
It's telling me I can't unmute myself. Cindy Minor.
Okay, Heather.
Heather Moore.
John.
John Elwell.
Matt.
Here.
And I think that's it. Okay.
Just a note to the trustees, if you mute yourselves, you can't unmute yourself.
Got it. Okay, so first item on the agenda is modifications or changes. Does anybody have any modifications or changes to tonight's agenda?
No.
Nope.
No.
Okay, so we'll move on to public comment. I don't believe there's anybody here from the public tonight. So we'll move on to review and approval for minutes, April 14th, 2020. Everybody have a chance to look them over?
Look good?
And if there were no errors or admissions, I'd like a motion to accept the minutes.
I make the motion to accept the minutes.
All right, Leonard made it first. We have a second.
I'll second
Cindy
that.
Minor.
Cindy, you got a second? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. All right, it's unanimous. Shauna's not here for the Lincoln Park potential use request. So we'll just move on to LED streetlight conversion.
Yeah, so if the board looks in your packet, you'll see some email correspondence between Matt Miner and myself. Matt did a pretty exhaustive study and analysis along with Dave Westcomb, our head lineman for our electric department, on converting all of our street lights to LED lights. And Matt, you did the work on this, and I'll say I compliment your work here. I think you did a very nice, thorough job. Do you want to take it away with a discussion and explanation to the board?
Sure. Thank you. Matt Miner here. At this time, there are 121 streetlights in the village that are either sodium or mercury vapor. We have been little by little replacing older lights with LED lights as they fail. And we have been taking advantage of the rebates that are offered through the manufacturer and Efficiency Vermont when we purchase these lights in small quantities. Those rebates are changing and may be sunsetting soon. So we did an analysis to determine what the payback would be if we were to replace all of the remaining non-LED streetlights. With the current rebates that are available, our cost per light after rebates is $68 approximately. There are 121 lights that need to be replaced. So we would have an estimated material cost of $8,300 to purchase the necessary LEDs to replace all the remaining lights. As those lights are switched to LED, they use less electricity, and the utility expense that the general fund bears for street lighting will be reduced once all of these lights are converted to LED. And the savings, if we replace all of those lights by the end of June, between July 1st and December 31st, just from utility cost, would be approximately $9,300. So the payback to the general fund just in utility savings is less than 6 months to replace the remaining lights, and would yield an additional $1,000 in utility savings even after contributing to the purchase of lights. So what I was proposing is that the general fund subsidize the rebate that's being received from Efficiency Vermont and the manufacturer to bring the cost of the lights to the electric department to zero. So the electric department's only expense for this project would be the labor necessary to make the installation. That would mean that the general fund would purchase or make a rebate contribution to the electric department of $8,300 and would have a resulting $9,300 savings in utilities. And going forward in future years, it would be several $1,000s annually in this utility savings. So at this point, I believe that it makes sense for the general fund and the electric department to combine forces to make this replacement before those rebates disappear.
I'm assuming that the general fund pays for the power for the street lights.
That's correct.
Okay. I was wondering because it wouldn't make sense if the general fund, if the electric fund was paying for it,
Right.
to have it come out of the general fund. But I get that now. So no, it sounds like a good idea. I don't know what the rest of the board thinks, but I think
Makes sense.
we should go ahead and change them.
I concur.
Do we need a motion on that or?
Wouldn't hurt, just
Okay.
for, just so it's reflected and the public understands we did talk to the board about doing this.
Okay. If we're all in agreement, I'll hear a motion to swap out those bulbs for LEDs.
I'll make the motion.
Make the motion.
Okay, Heather with the first, Leonard with the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, next we have SQRP report.
Yeah, so this is something that we're required to have once a quarter by the Public Utility Commission on an agenda of the Board of Trustees. I just noticed that on the reports that the board got, it appears that a part of the performance standards were cut off. So Cindy and Heather, you haven't seen these before. The other board members have. Oh, actually, Matt's got a copy of it up on the screen now, so you can look at that one. Sorry about that. I'll remind Psyche, to make sure she's getting full copies of stuff in your packets. But in any case, this is something that we're required once a quarter to have on the board's agenda. SQRP stands for Service Quality and Reliability Plan. If you're wondering what the acronym stands for. And it's basically just a set of performance measurements for our electric department to, give a gauge of, the type of quality that we're providing to our electric department customers. And if you look down through the lines, there's quite a few different performance measurements that we have to report to the Public Utility Commission on. So there's nothing really exciting or alarming to tell you guys in this. We're well within all of our baseline measurements. So the column on the far right, which has the title baseline on it at the top, is sort of what we're allowed for each one of these sections of the performance measurements. And then the column directly left of that, entitled annual rolling average, will show you where we're at for that baseline for this quarter. So, this is the first report of the year, the first quarter of the year. So, we're well, as you can see, we're well under all of the baseline standards there. That may not, be the case by the end of the year, but right now we are, not seeing any issues or problems with any of this. But as I said, we're required to have this on an agenda once a quarter, so we do it. And that's about all I have to report on that.
Could you tell us what the acronym stands for again, please?
Yes, it stands for Service Quality and Reliability Plan.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. If they hadn't been cut off on your packets, and again, I apologize for that.
No worries. And it's so small on the screen, I can't read it either.
Yeah, yeah. But
Matt likes his little letters.
this will come up again, though. As I said, we have to do this 4 times a year, so you'll see this again. We'll make sure we get the full copy in your packets next time.
Okay, no worries.
Okay, if there are no other questions, we'll move on to manager's report.
First item, you'll see a memo from Brian Ovid, our chief operator for our wastewater department, attached to the manager's report. And Brian is outlining for the Board of Trustees a set of conversations that he had with Paul Godin, owner of 258 Main Street. Board members that are a little older onto the Board of Trustees will remember that this subject goes back to last year, over a year ago now. It was, I think, February of 19. Paul had come to the board, said he had a special project that he would like to do at that address, 258 Main Street. It was to be a temporary milk processing business, but only meant to be temporary. He had a number of hurdles, both at our local zoning office and at the state level, that he needed to overcome to get the business in place. He's done that now, and then told us that he was going to start discharging into our wastewater system. When we discussed with him the contract, which he had agreed to last year, in order to be able to do this from that particular location, he balked and said he felt that the amount of waste that he would be putting from the milk processing was small enough that he felt he could recapture it in the facility itself and just return it back to the newer manure pits from which he was getting the milk supply. So we told him that's fine. That's your decision. If you would rather do that than to have the waste go into our treatment facility. So he decided to go that direction instead. So just trying to close that communication gap with you guys. Some of you may not recall that, because it was a while ago now. It was over a year ago that took place, but took Paul a while to get through some of the hurdles he needed to in order to get that temporary business operating on 258 Main. But he is doing it now, and he's decided to just capture that milk waste himself and bring it back to the manure pits he got the milk product from. rather than discharging it into the treatment plant. And that's fine. I mean, we're perfectly fine with that if that's what he chooses to do. Next item, wanted to follow up with you guys about the American Legion's request for a coin drop. So we did hear back from Lawrence Wilson from the Legion. He contacted us and let us know that the Legion has decided to postpone their request for a coin drop at this time. So they may, depending on how things develop with the COVID-19 situation, they may come back to us later in the year. That, of course, is unknown at this time, what's going to happen and evolve with that situation. But he wanted to, at least make us aware that it's possible they may come back to us, but they're just going to have to see how things go with COVID-19. But for now, at least, they've decided to postpone that event. And then we've got a request I wanted to bring to the board's attention from State of Vermont Fish and Wildlife. They are interested in putting up some signs on 2 access points to the Missisquoi River. The language and pictures of the sign are attached to the manager's report here. So you can see exactly what kind of symbols and language they'll have on the sign. It's all related to COVID-19 and demonstrating to people and reminding people of social distancing techniques and other things that they should be aware of when engaging in recreational activities in the age of COVID-19. So the 2 access points to the river that they would like to put these signs up on are both owned by the village of Enosburg Falls. So they're asking for the village's permission to put these signs up. And these, of course, would be temporary signs. They wouldn't be up there forever. But their intent is to have them up for as long as we need to ride out the COVID-19 virus. And one of the access points is at the entrance to Island View Pond off Duffy Hill Road. So one of these would go up there at that front entrance onto Island View Pond. And the second one would be located kind of in between where the St. Albans Street pump station is and the fire department access down to the Missisquoi River, which it usually has a gate in front of it. But they would like to put a sign kind of in between those 2 locations, in between the St. Albans Street pump station and the gate for the access, the fire station access down to the Missisquoi River off from St. Albans Street. So I don't see an issue with it. It's probably a good thing to do, a responsible thing to do for the state. They're going to be starting their rainbow trout fish stocking soon. And they wanted to get these signs up before they actually started stocking the river again. Some of you may be aware, if you're a fish angler, that Fish and Wildlife does stock rainbow trout in the river, usually like right below the falls, right below the Enosburg Falls. And so they use points both located near the Bridge of Flowers and Light and also down on Island View Pond in order to do that rainbow trout stocking. So they're looking for permission from the village to do this, and just to make sure we're touching base with everyone we should, I thought I would ask you guys if you have any issues. I'll also let you know that I did tell Fish and Wildlife that they may need to get some sign permits from the town's zoning department, and I put him in touch with Angela Wright, the town zoning administrator, to check with her to see what, if any, permits they would need to be able to do that. So they're working on that, but he would still need permission from the property owners either way on the sign permits. So. Does any board member have an issue or a problem if the state were to put these temporary signs up?
I think it's
Good
a
idea.
great idea,
Okay,
as long as he has permits to do it. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, good. I'll let them know then that board talked about it and everybody's in agreement that, from our end, we'll give him permission to do that, just as long as he gets the proper sign permits, if any are needed. Okay, and then the last thing, I just wanted to let you guys know I got contacted by the Missisquoi River Basin Association, and they wanted me to let you guys know, although I don't believe we've got anything that would actually apply to this situation, but they wanted me to just let you guys know that the River Basin Association does have some grants available for up to $5,000 to do restorative work along the Missisquoi River for damages that were done to the river during the October 31st and November 1st storms that we had this past fall. Unfortunately for the village, we didn't really sustain much damage from that. The only real damage we got related to that flooding was along the very end of Missisquoi Street, the section of the street that runs directly along the riverbank. And that section of the street is dirt as opposed to asphalt. And it did get flooded out for probably around 12 to 15 hours, if I'm remembering correctly. But then the river receded and people were able to get back to their homes again. I think there were 3 homes that were impacted by that at the very end of the street. And we went in as soon as the river had receded enough and put down, fresh dirt, so it wasn't like a giant mud patty trying to get through there. But that was it, really. I mean, that was minimal cost. Probably not more than a couple $100 at most for us to lay down that additional dirt and gravel along that section of the street. So not really applicable to our situation, but they asked me just to bring that up to you guys and let you know. I think they're doing that to all of the municipalities that they cover through their basin association, just letting everybody know if they did get some damage. They do have a grant for up to $5,000 that a municipality could apply for that particular storm on October 31st and November 1st of last year. And that's it. That's all I've got for manager's report.
Okay, thank you, John. We have Steve with us, right?
Yeah, executive session.
Okay. So if no one, can't even talk here.
Other business?
Yeah, we got to do other. Does anybody have any other business?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about something. The last week, I, through my daytime job, was invited by Sean Coleman of Northwest Regional Planning Commission to an emergency management meeting on Thursdays. I guess in Franklin County, they're weekly on Thursdays right now during the COVID-19 situation. And when I was talking with him, Enosburg wasn't present there. I know, John, you were given an invitation, and it sounded like it didn't work with your schedule, but Pierre Latorno and Polly Rico from the select board were also invited. And I was just wondering what we can do to get Enosburg at those meetings. I attended last week. I am pretty new to this, so there was definitely some really good information. I think as this situation progresses, I don't know like where the conversation is at, like, and how much, like, if John gets those, John, do you get those reports? Does Sean email them to you?
Yeah,
Like, how is that in the conversation?
yeah, I can tell you what, what my take on that is, if the board would like to hear it. I am getting, at this point, it was more. I would say it was probably about 19 to 25 emails a day, every day. 19 to 25 emails a day on COVID-19 and updates from our state government, from Northwest Regional Planning Commission, from Northeast Public Power Association, from Vermont Public Power Supply Authority, from American Public Power Association. So I have been absolutely inundated since this COVID-19 started with updates and reports at multiple levels of government in Vermont and on a nationwide level. And and as well, there are a lot of different meetings, like video meetings. Nobody's meeting, physically face to face anymore. It's all being done through electronic means, like we have to hold our meetings now too. But I'm also getting multiple requests every week to join meetings from all of these different organizations to talk about all the same subjects. Mm-hmm. And so they're all, they're all doing this. All of these different organizations that we are associated with and belong to are doing these types of meetings. I personally feel like all of the multiple updates I'm getting every single day about this keeps me well informed, and that's why I have not been attending the video meetings from Northwest Regional Planning Commission. If the board has a problem with that, I will try to make time to do that in my schedule. But quite honestly, with all of the written reports and updates that I'm getting every day, and I am reading them, I read them all every day, which takes a fair amount of time, but I do it. I feel like, I'm staying pretty up to date with what's going on and what the municipality needs to be in compliance with. If there's a board member that wants to attend that meeting, I'm sure they'd love to have you. Heather, you said you attended one this past Thursday.
I did, yeah.
I don't know if that's something you want to continue to do. I'm fine with that, if you would like to do it. But if you guys would prefer that I did it and had a presence at the Northwest Regional Planning Commission weekly meetings on COVID-19, then I will try and make room for that in my schedule. But, that's the reason why I haven't been attending those, is I'm getting slammed with updates and information on this stuff every day. And at some point you got to draw the line and say, I'm good with it now. I understand what we need to do.
Yeah, and John, I didn't mean to really put you on the spot with that. I just, because I know that, some other people were also invited too, and I don't know, like, where was the conversation?
Yeah, they're inviting everybody, from both counties. Mm-hmm. There's I forget how many, but there's all the municipalities in both Franklin and Grand Isle counties are invited to mm-hmm. these meetings, as well as some other stakeholders as well at the state level. And different people join. Some people will just go to one, and then they haven't gone for 2 or 3 meetings after that. It's not like a set list of people that
right.
have been designated to attend those meetings.
Right. One of the things that I noticed at the meeting, just for other people's information with making a decision, is just it's getting some information, and but it's also like sharing and making connections too, and supporting with resources and stuff as well. So if somebody is able to attend, and I don't know if I can make a weekly commitment, I would love to try to put that in my schedule, but John, my inbox is often similar to yours with school related stuff.
Yeah.
It's every other hour for a while. It was new guidance. It's slowing down.
Yeah, it has gotten better for me too. I'd say the last week, rather than like 19 to 25 a day, it's maybe down to 12 to 15 a day now. So it's getting a little better.
Yeah, same here. But yeah, so I think it'd be great if somebody could attend those meetings, just so that Enosburg is present to that. And I don't know if it's a trustee or if it's a select board member, because Pierre's the emergency management, what's his title?
Director.
And I'm not sure, I have not had a conversation with him about it either, but I mean, whether it's a trustee or a select board person, I think somebody from Enosburg should be trying to at least regularly attend those meetings. I don't know if anybody is up for it, if we should reach out to the select board and see what they want to set. You know, I don't think it needs to be a trustee in the select board unless we want to do that. I mean,
Were those meetings being held before COVID, or are they just special?
No, these are specifically for COVID-19 issues. They started probably about 4 weeks ago, and they're being held by Northwest Regional Planning Commission. And the idea is just to get, you know, whoever's interested from local governments around the 2 counties that NRPC represents to, you know, give them a forum to talk to each other, you know, different local officials. If you've got a question on your mind about COVID-19, or, you know, what you should be doing to handle a certain situation maybe that has come up at your municipality or another, you know, related association somewhere in the 2 county area. They set out a pretty wide net of invitations to people, and you know, it's just kind of open to anyone who would like to attend them, listen to, you know, what different people's experiences have been during COVID-19, and hopefully get any questions asked if there's, you know, something that's been on a person's mind and they're not sure what they're supposed to do about it.
yeah, one of the things we talked about was like the MRE distribution. That was last week, and you know, sharing information and feedback, and then really talking about food security. United Way was there and gave a presentation about some financial support that United Way has to offer municipalities. And it sounds like, so those are kind of some things that come up too. So, and networking and aligning so that our community and the other communities maybe are like communicating with each other a little bit more. Richford was present, St. Albans, Swanton was present. Trying to remember, it was a smaller group. It was a really, really, really beautiful day last Thursday. So it was a small group, but I think there may be 9 or 12 of us, something like that.
Okay, so Heather, if you can make time, that'd be great, just to get some presence from the town or the village. But if any other board members want to, they can always jump in too. All right, does anybody have any other business? No? Okay. So I need a motion to go into executive session for discussing negotiations in which premature public knowledge may compromise the position of the municipality.
A motion, we go into executive session.
Cindy with the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Jason with the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right, let's enter into executive. State your full name. John?
Yes, here.
Cindy?
Care?
Heather?
Here.
Matt?
Here.
Jason?
Here.
Leonard?
Here.
Steve?
Here.
Okay, at this time, I'll have a motion to allow Vermont Public Power Supply Authority to submit a rate increase case on behalf of the Village of Enosburg Falls in the amount of 5.89% plus or minus 1%. Do you have a motion?
I motion that we accept that.
All right, Cindy with the first, so I have a second.
I'll second.
Jason with the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right, it's unanimous.
All right.
Okay, so then if there's no other business, I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
Jason with the
Second.
first, I have a second. Cindy with a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. All right, good meeting.